car. Remind me a couple things I want to bring you guys up to date about you may not be aware of at the end. So,
Buck, we just got a chance to talk to Pete. I'm just curious about when you heard about what he went through.
the bags here about 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I knew about it before we left here last night, but I left here about 7:30. I knew that it was an issue, but very fortunate.
Yeah.
We know some people's minds that red lights and stop signs are a convenience. We look at it something. We're lucky. Pete's lucky.
Yeah.
I just thought about a lot of things. You know, his wife being right behind him. Can you imagine? I asked him today in the meeting if how he felt about doing all those leg lifts in the off season, so he could push that windshield out.
What was the meeting about today? What was the message you were trying to get across to the team in your first chance to get in front of them as a group?
If I did, I wouldn't broadcast it here, but good try. No, we'll do that tonight.
Okay.
Today was about the workout and going over the team defense we were covering and just letting them get acclimated. It was short. Didn't you know what happens every spring is guys sitting around in front of their locker for an hour and a half while Harold and the trainer and traveling secretary and all these people talk forever, and they're just sitting there. And by the time you get out on the field, I just don't like that. I've always felt better about doing it the night, and then they can go home and eat or go to bed. And when they come through the doors here, it's about baseball, not about listening to a lot of people pontificate. But there's some important things they need to hear from Harold and different people. But I think the setting, the presentation is better at night than when they walk through the doors here. So we didn't really go down that line too far today.
Who's next? Tim, go ahead across to you.
On to Grom, given that he hasn't faced batters yet, but will a couple days from now. Do you expect him to be ready for the start of the regular season?
I hope so. He's scheduled to be our opening day starter, and we hope that we have a plan set up where he can do that. How far we get, because of the lockout, may present some challenges, but, right now we're treating him as you would a normal starter with certainly some knowledge of things that have gone out in the past, and what to look for, but and leaning on him. It's an important year for our club, and Jake's a big part of that. So looking forward to, hopefully, knock on wood, getting through this unscathed. Problem we have with this time frame, there's not that buffer you have, that safety net where somebody gets something, especially pitchers that probably won't jeopardize the start, but you need to back off a little. We really don't have that luxury anymore.
Thank you.
Hey, Buck, you are one of only 3 managers that are currently managing in the league that had to deal with a work stoppage prior. Anything you can take from the last one that you can use for this one?
Yeah, I was thinking, somebody reminded me the other day, there were 2 of them. This is my 3rd one. I'd forgotten about the other one. But, yeah, like I said, I believe yesterday, whenever, we referred back to our schedules and some things we did. It's a very similar time frame to then. Obviously, the game has some different challenges it didn't have before, but it's one of the things I did tell them today about, more is not better. One of the mistakes we're going to make if we try to go too fast. And I made sure I went around to a lot of the hitting drills today that some of those are designed to take a blow. Let them know, guys like Robbie and some of I was kidding with Robbie today, so, you're going to make the club. Escobar got a chance to make the club. Cano, Marte. So just reminding them where the finish line is, and it's not like some other club is allowed to have more time to get ready than we do. So it's important that, that we'll have some challenges. It always happens, but, sometimes you spend so much time worrying about the pitching. It's a different clock. Players are working off a baseball clock, and that clock has been changed. They're creatures of habit and repetition, so you got to really be careful about that, and temper your enthusiasm. As a coach and as a manager, you're wanting to, go and get to the finished product. We actually only have 3 more days of this before we start a game in inter-squad. So I'm used to having 5 or 6 with the pitchers and 6 or 7 with the position players. I think that's the biggest challenge of spring. We're doubling up on some team defenses that we normally go piece to piece with, but we'll come back and cover them once the games start. We'll hit them again and again and again.
Who's next?
I didn't realize what a loaded question this was when Puma asked yesterday, but do you have everybody here now? Or are you still waiting on anybody to
No, we
report?
don't. I was going to get to them. I'm
Okay.
not trying, but let me know. You want to go now?
All right, yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Y Diaz, not E Diaz, has some visa issues. Expect him here shortly. Trevor got here. He was having some weather issues and travel issues. Pena has some visa issues. I knew this was going to happen with the lockout, that we were going to have some challenges there. A lot of the guys were already here. Santos cleared waivers and has been, he's a non-roster invitation now. He'll be here shortly. It's know about Pete. I did want to tell you that you may have noticed that Marte wasn't part of the workout today. He presented, talked to us about 6 days ago. He felt a little sore in an oblique area. But to be on the safe side, we took imaging and an x-ray just to make sure we knew what we were dealing with, that there wasn't something major, and that came back really good. So he was out there but not participating. So we think we should be okay there. But, we know with that type of area, it always puts a flag up initially. So far, so good. Let's see, Mike also left out. I went over this stuff, and you guys know about Pete. Shocker. I'm sure Pete talked about it, right?
Yeah.
In very descriptive form, I'm sure. I tell you what, I had him talk a little bit with the club today about it. It gets your attention. Like I said, red lights seems like nowadays are a suggestion.
Is Lugo here?
Pardon?
Lugo?
Did I mention him? No. I said I didn't mention him, did I? He's got some weather issues, and we expect him here tonight. They have to go through the intake. Some of the guys they sneak in, or not sneak in, they get here and do the intake stuff, all the things we have to get through between the physicals and the COVID testing, and they may be here but haven't been cleared to work out yet. But I think Seth's very close. A lot of airports. We were talking about Brian Small and I were talking about all the flights that have been canceled. And I think we had at one time 6 guys stranded in airport cities connecting around the country. And they keep calling me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. All right, it's overrated. Sleep.
Bruce, go ahead.
Buck, that was my follow-up on Pete, just the fragility of life, to see one of your guys go through something like this. And he very eloquently talked to us about, his feelings of being here and being alive. I just wanted to know if you could share what you were feeling.
I thought it was a good moment. We had two things, like I told you guys yesterday that Robbie wanted to talk to the club today. We did that there after we got everybody out of there, just the staff and the players. And Pete, I kind of led him into it, and he talked to the players a little bit about it. I thought it was a couple of pretty good moments about life in general, mistakes, and also with things that need to realize how fleeting things can be in a lot of ways. You could tell he was. I talked to him again outside. He wanted to let me know he talked about it. I wasn't surprised. And that's the way you guys do, and you don't know me. I'd rather just, here's what's going on. I don't. When I find out something, you'll know it. Unless it gives us a competitive disadvantage, then I won't. What's that thing? Be careful about telling truths that hurt innocent people. What else? That was pretty deep there.
You mentioned Cano. How did his talk with the team go, and kind of how do you view him?
You could tell he'd been waiting a long time, and he had really something he had on his heart, and guys were very receptive. I'll tell you what, watching him turn double plays today, I just reminded the arm strength he generates from that slot. They all too young to remember Manning Trio. I asked him about it, and he goes, "Yeah, a lot of people tell me that." But just watching him move around, he's a guy that we really got to keep the reins on as much as we can, because a healthy Robbie could really be a help to us.
Yeah, just follow up. What can he be for you this year?
A lot of things. I think Robbie will be able to hit when he's 50. His bat to ball skills and keeps the bat in the zone such a long time. When you see him, you want to shift him, you can do it early. He can take the bat and maneuver it. He's going to be able to do that, as evidenced by how well he hit in the Caribbean series. And but as far as what we're going to do with him, he'll play some second, he'll DH, and he might even see some first base action along the way. He's got that ability. But we'll try to present it with the way that keeps him the healthiest. I hope he's hitting and playing so well that there's always that lure to, do too much. So I hope that's a challenge.
James, skill test.
Also having him in the clubhouse, we haven't had that in a while. We missed that last year. Probably a really good force in there with our players. You can tell much respect as a player, and whether it be Francisco or some of those guys, keeping in mind that he's made some mistakes, like we all have.
I was about to ask that. How is Robinson received by his teammates? I mean, this is not just his first suspension, his second, and it's a complicated issue given the competitive disadvantage PEDs do give players. So, I mean, how was he received? How is he received in your mind?
Good. Players
by
are
the
very
team?
receptive. I mean, what do you I don't know. Maybe I should have pulled the pitchers that he's playing against, But in this clubhouse, it's we've moved on. It was something that he and we welcomed, and something needed to be done, and he was perceptive enough to know that, and we got it done and moved down the field. You could tell it was something that had been on his mind. It's something he wanted to do.
But could the tone of it be described as apologetic, his talk?
You could describe it that way. You could describe it a lot of ways, but I'll let you guys are professional describers. But yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
he's not going to sit there and talk
Yeah.
about why he did it. He's going to talk about just kind of like with your wife. You make a mistake, don't talk about all the reasons. Just say I'm sorry, and people will forgive or not forgive at their own pace.
Good. Thank you, Buck.
Really? Did I forget anything? Pete, Marte, Grom,
Think you covered it.
Santos. Oh, you made me feel bad because I forgot Luca.